Hey everyone, it's me, Gretchen Rubin, coming to you live from my apartment in New York City. I'm the author of Outer Order, Inner Calm, The Happiness Project, and other books, and I'm so happy to be talking to you today. Now, we're all struggling to stay calm as we are coping with the COVID-19 situation. All over the country, all over the world, we're all dealing with this with different circumstances and in different times. Tell me where you are watching from, because I love to see where in the world people are joining from. And I'm so happy to have a chance to engage. I'm in my apartment, safe at home with my family, and it is thrilling to get a chance to go out in the world using technology the way we all are these days, to connect and to engage and to talk about ideas for how we can handle this situation to make ourselves happier and calmer as much as we can be. Now, there's a lot of things we can do to make ourselves happier and calmer. We can take care of our bodies by doing things like getting enough sleep and getting some exercise. We can connect with others. I think everyone is very focused on making sure that people don't feel isolated and making sure that we're connecting with friends. But there is another thing that's very close to my heart, which is the idea that for most of us, outer order does contribute to inner calm. Maybe more than it should. So give me a thumbs up if you also feel that outer order contributes to inner calm. And I would love to talk about some ways that we can harness this to our advantage right now. Because, oh wow, look, oh, everybody's so fun. Long Island, Brazil, wow, Uruguay, wow, there's Detroit, there's so many people from all over. This is wonderful. Another person from Detroit, Vancouver, Dallas. Oh, this is so fun to see people from all over. So if you are like me, a thumbs up, you do feel like things that getting control over the stuff of life can help make you feel more in control of your life generally. Now, I think that this is something that I'm seeing right now because of everything with COVID-19. We have this urge to prepare. You know, we have this urge to like get things in order, but there's a limit to what we can do. And so I don't know about you, but I'm feeling kind of this urge to nest and to clear clutter and to organize as if it's going to help me prepare. And I realize that that's kind of irrational, but I am finding that it makes me feel better. It makes me feel more in control, even if that's irrational. It makes me feel calmer, even if it's irrational. So thumbs up if you are doing things like making your bed every day. Do you feel like something like making your bed is helping you? Yeah, I'm seeing some thumbs up. Yes, 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 yes. Is making you feel like, okay, maybe I can't do everything. Maybe I can't even leave my apartment or my house today, but I can make my bed. If you're feeling overwhelmed by clutter, and maybe there's a lot of people at home all the time, and so it's hard to have things the way you want them, some strategies that you might try include the 1-minute rule, which is anything that you can do in less than a minute, you do without delay. So if you can hang up your coat instead of throwing it on the ground, if you can put your shoes away instead of leaving them by the front door, if you can put a mug in the dishwasher instead of just putting it on the kitchen counter, do that. And that helps to get rid of sort of the scum of clutter on the surface of everyday life. And if you can convince the other people in your household to follow that, that would also be helpful. Another thing that can be useful is Power Hour. This is when you make a list of the things that you want to get to. And so there is a time when you get to them. Now, I don't know about you, but it feels like on the one hand we have so much time, and we want to make purposeful, meaningful use of that time. But as one of my aphorisms hold, things that can be done at any time are often done at no time. And so making a list of like, okay, once a week, every Saturday, I'm just going to replace this light bulb, figure out where the extension cord is, like dig out the stuff under my kids' beds, anything like that can help, because you know you're going to get to it, and you start working on those things that can sort of be indefinitely procrastinated, even these days. So if you're just joining, I'm Gretchen Rubin. I'm the author of Outer Order, Inner Calm. I'm also the co-host of the Happier with Gretchen Rubin podcast. You can follow me at Gretchen Rubin, and I'm here talking about sort of strategies, tips, solutions for how to feel calmer during this time, how to use outer order as a way to create more inner calm for ourselves. And if you have suggestions, please put them in the comments, because we can all learn from each other and like tips and strategies that we've all followed. Another thing that I find is that I do feel greater order, like just cleaning off my work surface. I work from home all the time. I know that a lot of other people don't work from home all the time. And they're needing, or maybe one person works from home, but now two people are working from home and children are doing schoolwork from home. This is a situation. One thing I would suggest is to really think about how you're going to use that space. Don't just have somebody be like, oh, well, now that I'm working from home, I'll just work on my laptop on the kitchen table. That's probably not going to work well. You might have to actually reconfigure your space for this time. Like I've heard from people where they put both children sleeping in one room so that the other room could become a schoolroom or a playroom, things like that. Or how do you create two home offices when in fact you might have had none or one before. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'll look for your questions. And also, or have you reconfigured your space and how have you done it? Because I think that's something where people, I see here something. We reorganized all the furniture yesterday. See, there you go. I mean, I think sometimes that's helpful too. It's a form of preparation. I love the 1 minute rule and practice it throughout the day. See, that's great. I think that kind of thing really can make you feel like, none of us want to feel like we're living in squalor, right? And we're just at home so much of the time. I'm really fortunate because my older daughter, who's, home from college, really cracks the whip. She really wants chores to be done and she's on it. And so it's nice for me and for my husband because she's really the one pushing it. And so we're doing a good job. And it's really to her benefit. This is fun. Oh, power hours. Great. Yes, that's really, I'm cleaning every day to reduce stress, clutter, and make me feel like I'm taking care of myself. See, that's the thing. I really think for a lot of people, it kind of feels like, this is something on my to-do list, but it actually feels good. It feels energizing. It feels focused. And there's also a lot of times where, there's things that we've been meaning to do forever. Like, I have those 5 boxes left over from when we moved. Well, now's the time. What are your biggest challenges with clutter? Is it kitchen clutter, like because everybody's in and out of the kitchen? Is it just too many people in a space clutter? Is it children's toys? Obviously, we're all in very different situations because if you're working at home with little kids, that's different. Like I'm working at home and my husband's working at home, but we have teenage children. So, that's different. Are your kids doing schoolwork right now? Like one of my daughters is still on spring break, so she hasn't had to do schoolwork yet. I think it's going to change our household when we're all working at home. And I've been, I've been hearing from people who've been listening to the Happier podcast or who have read my books, and they're all talking about how staying on top of clutter really is helping them manage this and helping them to feel less drained and less overwhelmed. I'm looking, I've been weighed down by I've been writing down the tasks I accomplished by the end of the day. It's a good feeling to look back and see what I've done during the week. See, that's a great idea. So on the Happier with Gretchen Rubin podcast, my sister and I have talked about the to-do list. We all make to-do lists, which is all the things we want to do. But I talk about that in here as well. You can make a to-do list, which is everything you accomplished. So you give yourself that gold star, like this viewer. You give yourself that feeling of accomplishment. You could do a could-do list or a might-could list. And all the things you could do or you might could do if you felt like it. Some people don't like feeling locked into a list. They like to feel like they have options. They like to feel like, well, I'll do what I want, but I'll write down all the things that maybe I'll do. Or maybe you're just going to make a today list. I think in these times, a lot of times people get kind of overwhelmed thinking about the future, especially since right now we are in a period where we don't really know what the time horizon is. We don't really know what people like to have a deadline. They like to have a finish line. We don't really know what that looks like, and it's probably going to be different for different people in different parts of the United States and in different parts of the world. So we have to just manage that. And I think for some people, maybe make a to-do list. Not a to-do list, just a to-do list. What do you want to do today? But I do find that a lot of people love the to-do list because it does give you that feeling of accomplishment. And a lot of times once you think about what you've done, it kind of energizes you to move forward. So I talk about these ideas in Outer Order, Inner Calm, or you can listen to the Happier podcast, episode 134. So if you're just joining, I'm Gretchen Rubin. We're talking about ways of staying calm as we're coping during COVID-19. You can follow me at Gretchen Rubin. right now I'm talking about like people's questions and solutions. Someone says self-care, reading, playing with cat. Reading, right? I mean, what are you reading? What books are you reading? Are you rereading? I find myself rereading for comfort. I'd pick a favorite book and I reread it. Are you losing yourself in a wonderful novel? Are you immersing yourself in a work of history? I think a lot of people are finding that books are really, they're comforting. They kind of get you away from the noise and the clamor of the news. And they're immersive. You can really lose yourself and kind of be transported. And that kind of distraction really can help us to go the long distance. Now, I see there's a question about, how can you focus on work when you're feeling overwhelmed? I wrote a whole blog post about that, you can look on my website, GretchenRubin.com, about how to work productively and how to use this time. And it's not easy. One thing I would say is to give yourself transitions. I think sometimes we expect ourselves to go from watching the news to focusing on the annual report, and that's hard. So maybe if you want to limit how much you go to the news, but let's say it's the morning and you've had your morning hit, maybe you start by doing something that is a good transition. Like you're reading a trade newsletter email, or you're reviewing something that you've already prepared, or you're, getting caught up on your scheduling, something that's work related, but that's not intensely focus demanding. And then as you get more yourself settled into that work mode, then you can start amping up the level of focus and attention that's required. I find this to be very helpful for myself, is I have in my day a lot of different levels of work that I do and kind of levels of difficulty, and I don't try to go from 1 to 10. I go from 1 to 3 to 7 to 10. I kind of have to work my way in. And when I'm at 10, I try not to do something that's going to throw me out and make me start over. Because if I go checking the news, I have to work my way in again often. It's hard for me, and I think for a lot of people, to jump back and forth. And I think this is one of the reasons why clearing clutter, it's kind of that same process, only in its physical manifestation. When things are not in your way, when you can find what you're looking for without searching, when you don't feel like you look around and you see a million little tasks, that just makes you feel calmer and more focused, and it's easier to turn your attention onto things that are productive, whether that's work or it's trying to get yourself to exercise. And thumbs up if you are trying to exercise regularly. How many people are trying to exercise regularly as part of this? Because that's a great transition. And clearing clutter itself can be a great transition. If you're trying to move from sort of home life into work life, maybe taking 10 minutes to clear off your desk. Maybe you're going to clear out a couple files. Maybe there's a pile that's in the back of your home office that's been there for a while. Maybe this can also serve as a kind of transition. And it's nice because if you have sort of a restless feeling, I don't know about you, but I'm having a lot of restlessness. It's sort of hard for me to sit still. Doing something physical like that, and also seeing the physical relief of, oh, I have so much more room on this bookshelf, or oh, I've been looking for my stapler for a week and here it is under this pile, or that box has been bugging me for the last 3 weeks since I put it there, but now it's gone and I can see my floor. I don't know about my sister Elizabeth, who's my co-host on the Happier podcast. She's super, super, super messy, and she would admit that herself, so I'm not talking trash. But one of the things she does is she stores stuff under her desk, at her feet. I had never seen this before. Do you store things at your feet under your desk? And now that there's so many more open offices, I've noticed that many, many people do this. I have to confess, to me, this is like thinking outside the box. I never thought about that, reclaiming that space. Sure, I put things under a bed, but I never thought about putting things around my feet. I think that is kind of oppressive. It makes you feel cramped and crowded, and you can't move around. And every time I go to my sister's house and help her clean her office, which I love to do, it's my favorite thing to do, seeing that space under her desk open up, it's like it fills my mind with energy and focus. And right now, again, I realize that this can seem trivial, this can seem superficial. Why are we thinking about this at a time of world catastrophe? And yet, over and over, people tell me outer order contributes to inner calm. Give me a thumbs up if you feel the same way, because I get that it's kind of disproportionate, and yet people do say that it makes them feel better. And so It's helpful. Now, for a lot of people, what they need is accountability. Like they might think, well, sure, I'll clean my office, or sure, this would be a great time to reorganize the kitchen, or oh, yeah, I've been meaning to go through this closet and I have so much time on my hands. It'd be a good idea. But again, it's like something that can be done at any time is done at no time. And like, here we are, you have all this time on your hands. Why would you do it today? You might want to create accountability for it. Maybe you and a friend, or like you're in a group text, you're like, hey, let's all commit to doing this. That could be a ton of fun. You could do before and after pictures and say, okay, let's all take a picture before, let's all take a picture after. I love looking at before and after pictures. Is that not your favorite thing in the world? Love before and after. You could think about your duty to somebody else. Like, oh, it's going to really help the rest of my family if I create outer order, because that's going to help everybody else focus. If this is a particular issue to you, or if you feel like, oh, I think accountability is the answer, you might be an obliger. This is a reference to my personality profiles, which divides the world into upholders, questioners, obligers, and rebels. If you want to find out what you are, you can take a free quick quiz at quiz.gretchenrubin.com. It will tell you what you are, and it'll give you sort of a little readout on how you might harness the knowledge of your tendency to help you get things done. Also, at a time when we're all in close quarters, if it'll help you understand the other people that you're with better too, because a lot of times you get a lot of insight from somebody once you know their tendency. Because the four tendencies actually coming up a lot around COVID-19, because the way the different personality types process the new rules and process information and adapt to it is very different. If you feel like when you have accountability, you're a lot more likely to follow through on something, well, that means that you are probably an obliger. And if you are an obliger, I have so many suggestions for you. So it has been so great to talk to everybody. I love seeing the comments, where everybody's coming from, what everybody's doing. I think we can all learn from each other. And I think just coming together for conversations like this is such a comfort at this time. You know, we all need to be physically distant, but we don't need to be socially distant. And I think we're so fortunate that we have so many resources through technology that can help us get through it. If you want to take the quiz, again, that's quiz.gretchenrubin.com. If you want more resources related to either outer order or inner calm or both or COVID-19, I've got so many resources on my blog, which is gretchenrubin.com. So go there. I'm all over social media. You can follow me at Gretchen Rubin. Listen to the podcast, Happier with Gretchen Rubin. I really do think that we can all learn from each other. We can all support each other. We can all give each other ideas and comfort and reassurance. So hang in there. Let's keep our hands clean and our minds clear. Bye.